Thanks for watching us tonight. President Obama and the Ferguson controversy, that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. With Mr. Obama under heavy fire for granting about 5 million illegal aliens residency in America, he has to tread very softly on any issue involving the rule of law. As you may know, some Americans believe the president is violating the Constitution with his new policy on undocumented people. So, he's in a tough spot over the police shooting in Ferguson, Missouri. Some on the far left want the president to promote the belief that police are mowing down young black men. So far, the president has not made any anti-police statements. What he has done is appropriated $75 million for police to have cameras on their person. That's a good thing. In areas where police officers wear cameras on their uniforms, charges against them by civilians have dropped dramatically. The cameras protect honest cops as well as discourage police abuse. But other than that, the president has been vague on Ferguson.
It's not just a problem for some. It's not just a problem for a particular community or a particular demographic. It means that we are not as strong as a country as we can be. And when applied to the criminal justice system, it means we're not as effective in fighting crime as we could be.
Now, that statement means absolutely nothing. It's blather, with all due respect. Talking Points believes the president should stay out of the Ferguson controversy. He obviously has to uphold the grand jury decision not to indict Officer Wilson, because if he subverted that, the rule of law could collapse. So, Mr. President, please stay out of it. All over America, folks are discussing what has happened in the Michael Brown killing. And that's a good thing. Let's get the issue of race and policing on the table. Of course, opinions vary. Listen to former NBA star Charles Barkley.
We have to be really careful with the cops, man, because if it wasn't for the cops, we'd be living in a wild, wild west in our neighborhoods. I think we can't pick out certain incidents that don't go our way and act like the cops are all bad. I hate when we do that, because think about it. You know how bad some of these neighborhoods would be if it wasn't for the cops?
But then you have anti-white fanatic Louis Farrakhan.
As long as they kill us and go to Wendy's and have a burger and go to sleep, they're going to keep killing us. But when we die and they die, then soon we're going to sit at a table and talk about retired. We want some of this earth, or we'll tear this goddamn country up.
Now, haters like Farrakhan will use any excuse to demonize white people and stir up racial hatred. That's what the man does. And it's a shame that some Americans buy into it, because we are all in this together. If only that philosophy would take root, that all Americans have a common interest in prosperity for all Americans. If only we helped each other out, all of this garbage would dissipate and Farrakhan would be no more. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction with us here in New York City, Michael Skolnick, president of GlobalGrind.com. Mr. Skolnick attended the White House meeting yesterday. And from Los Angeles, Alfonzo Rachel, a political commentator. So, Mr. Rachel, where am I going wrong?
I can't see where you're going wrong, Bill. Next question.
All right. Your view is contrary to a lot of African Americans who believe the system is rigged against them. How did you arrive at your view?
I can't say that if they feel that the system is rigged against them, part of that reason is, one, you have voted for that system. You gave power to that system that is against you. That system wants to control you. You thought that you were going to get something from that system, and you can't be dependent on someone without allowing them to control you. Or you decided to opt out of the process, and a statist went in and took that place in office. And that is a system that you have.
You're talking about Ferguson, Missouri now?
That could go for any city where people feel like they.
So you're talking in general.
Them.
All right, but Black Americans are only 13% of the population, and they do vote en masse. So they can't really change the system up against 63% of the population is white. So, Mr. Skolnick, where am I going wrong?
Well, I think to the gentleman's point, in the system that played in Ferguson specifically,
yes,
the prosecutor did not protect the family of the deceased. He did not put a case up against the grand jury that was fair for the deceased, and the deceased had
how
rights.
do you know that you weren't sitting in the grand jury? How do you know?
Almost every legal expert looked at that case and said something was wrong. He was a prosecutor and a defense attorney. He came in there and
he didn't come in there. He sent his two assistants in there. He didn't go in there at all because guys like you were going to criticize him if he did. Now, I don't understand your general view, though. Your general view is, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the police are hunting down black people? Is that what your belief is?
Who said that?
I'm just asking.
When did I say that?
I'm just asking, is that your belief?
No, my belief is that there's an epidemic in this country that has to be acknowledged.
What is the epidemic?
That there is a distrust to the police departments in this country and communities of color. And that distrust is leading to many deaths
all right, so
of young black people who are unarmed.
Distrust.
Yes.
Okay. Now, would you say that's driven by what? What is the distrust?
Bad policing.
And in what way?
There's a lack of community policing. Police officers are only in their cars in these communities. They do not get out of the car.
Here in New York City.
Absolutely. No. We have a much different police policy in this city than do in Ferguson, Missouri.
All right.
A very different police policy.
So you say it's distrust. Do you distrust, Alfonso, do you distrust the cops out in Los Angeles?
No, I don't think I have that profound case of distrust as much as what we're talking about. And, I'm not sure how far do we want to take this. Now we're giving the suggestion that, police officers are going to, they're going to get a bunch of federal money to put cameras on them. And I'm not sure if that's really going to help the situation to deal with the trust issue. If we're going to go by what we see on camera, we watched what Michael Brown did on camera. We saw the kind of demeanor
we had him in the convenience store, but we didn't have him getting shot. Now, you've been a critic of Michael Brown, the deceased. You've been a critic of him, right?
I hate to be a critic of him. It's a tragedy what happened to him. But yes, this kind of behavior, if we're looking for cops to behave a certain way, maybe one of the ways that you change a cop's behavior is to change your own.
And you say to that Michael Brown, we now know, all right, was aggressive in this case. He was under the influence of marijuana. The grand jury believed that he was actively threatening the police officer. Do you believe Michael Brown is a hero of some sort?
No, Michael Brown is a victim.
Do you think he's a victim?
100%.
He didn't bring any of that up?
We don't know. Let's go to trial. Let's put witnesses on stand.
But the grand jury knows because they ruled.
The grand jury
they decided.
A set of facts by a prosecutor who didn't want to indict Darren Wilson.
Are you aware of any evidence that was not presented to the grand jury?
Yes, the law that there's unconstitutional. 1985 that a police officer could shoot a fleeing suspect. They presented that to the case, and they said to the grand jury.
The evidence is that Mr. Brown was coming back toward the officer.
Yeah, and they could shoot him if he's fleeing away from. That's unconstitutional.
No, I just told you the evidence is he was coming back toward him.
What evidence? How do you know
the evidence that was presented to the grand jury?
We've never seen the evidence.
Yes, we have. We read the transcripts.
We saw the evidence the evidence the prosecutor presented to the grand jury. Let's take this to trial. Let's put Darren Wilson on the witness stand.
So you don't believe in the grand jury system?
Of course I do. I don't believe that prosecutor presented a fair case to the family.
Okay. I'm going to give you the last word, Mr. Rachel. You're different than most African American. Well, I shouldn't say most, but many. What Charles Barkley said, do you subscribe to that?
Hey, I may not be able to play basketball, but I'll be on Barkley's team for that one.
and why do you believe that he was correct in that statement?
He's correct in the statement in the sense of, look, cops have a job to do. I don't think a cop, really they got better things to do than to go around harassing people and pick out people just because of their skin color. They don't want no trouble. They want to do their jobs. They want to go home to their families. And as far as it is yes, it's correct. We would have a lot of chaos if it wasn't for the police. I know all police ain't bad, just like all blacks ain't bad. So, we got to be fair as far as that goes. I think there's a lot more good cops than bad cops.
All right, gentlemen, thanks for the good debate. Charles Krauthammer will have more on race in America later on.